Now 5 force cubes to the middle force cube. This plane, this space is the in the middle. When we consider the middle force cube, the negative polarity time plane has attracted the positive polarity of the of this force cube, positive negative, but as they have the opposite polarity, this plane will not create a single one. That attachment doesn't create a single plane. And here the front plane for this cube, the front time plane of this cube has joined with the back negative polarity time plane of the front cube. So this is also created plane, but it's not, that's also not a single plane. And here the mass planes, the negative polarity has joined with positive polarity. This side the negative polarity has joined with positive polarity. And these polarities, other polarities remain unchanged. Here negative, and this is negative, this is positive, negative, like that. But and then this new creation, even though still there's some polarity remain in this arrangement, but not, this polarity is not that strong as the polarity of a single force cube. Up to some extent the polarity or magnetism exists here. When it comes to the top plane, all light planes have attached together, and light is a unique thing here. There's no polarity for light here. Therefore all these planes can create a single plane, and it's very strong also. So this whole thing, top plane is a single plane. Therefore we cannot distinguish this top plane. But these the other combination, other joint planes, mass, negative and positive, those attachments we can distinguish because they don't create single planes. And so for here the surfaces, outside surfaces are more powerful in these arrangements when the force cubes attached outside. This new setup matures and it grows, then it gives us light, and the light receives us, we receive the light from this kind of creations, and then this is not the light at the universe's origin. This top surface is made out of many force cubes. So this light is a combination. That is, the light we receive is a combination, but at the origin it's a unique thing, unique element. But even though we receive it as a single reaction, it's a combination, inseparable combination. Now, as all light planes have joined together, we cannot distinguish, we cannot separate those. So this top plane is very strong, unlike the side planes. And also we can talk about that why do we have to have the light is on the along the vertical direction. We have to discuss whether the light is acting on these top and bottom planes or whether it's inside. Now we have already given the directions for time and mass, already given. As we have already given the directions for them, and then they have their unique planes also, then where should we put the light? If we think that light has to come inside the force cube, then what happens is, that means the height, this this is the mass time plane, and already we have defined the time plane. That means already it has a height here along this direction. If we assume that light has to come inside the force cube, then what happens is this height decreases. So it will be here. A shorter one will be created like this. Then the light will reduce the time plane and also mass plane. That cannot be, because universe has already defined these planes. Therefore, light has to be along this direction, and it has to exist only on the top and bottom planes. It cannot come to any other planes because we have already given them planes, and it cannot come inside also. So it exists only on the top and bottom planes. The light, it's the third dimension. These two, if this is the length and if this is the width, we've already given the length and width. We've assigned the time and mass to length and width. So then we have the third dimension in the force cube. That third dimension is the height. So if this is the height, this cannot be the front. This plane cannot be the light plane already given. Therefore, the top plane only has to be the light plane. Now let us discuss, once the force cube is created, how do we define the edges? Along each edge, how these elements we can set up. Now let us consider this front face, this square. Now it's made out of the perpendicular origin. Light, mass and time act perpendicular to each other. So the time is acting along this direction, and its opposite edge. Along this edge the time is acting, and its opposite edge also the time is acting in the same direction. So this plane represents the time throughout that plane and along this direction. Then the opposite plane to that is created by the opposite origin. It's the opposite time here, opposite time, opposite mass and light. Then this edge, opposite time is acting along this edge, and for this square, its other edge, its opposite edge also, along that edge also the opposite time is acting in the same direction throughout that face. Then these two sides, mass is acting along this edge backward, and so for this plane, throughout this plane the mass is acting. So this edge also has the mass in the same direction, and this is the opposite mass. For this face, it's acting towards A, and this edge also the opposite mass is acting, so it's directed to this side. That's how the four sides we can define, and with their quantities. But light, of course, it doesn't change, it doesn't undergo any polarization, so it remains unchanged, and top and bottom planes only will be remain. Those two will be light planes. The light represents the depth or the height or the third dimension, because we've already given, if this is the length, we've given the time for that. If this is the mass, we've given mass already. So then the other dimension is the height, that is the light. Light represents the height. And the other important thing here is I haven't defined any quantities or directions along the edge AB and CD. That's because now when the perpendicular origin and opposite origin join together, the light is the unchanged quantity. Then through this and this edge only, those two, the perpendicular origin and opposite origin, joined to create the force cube. So this edge is like it's a weak edge. These two edges are weak, but these two edges, the light edges, are very strong. We can never break those. Because so therefore now when this force cube is used to originate, used to create plants, beings, matter, worlds, everything, then in some creations the energy flows into the force cube. In some creations, other force cubes, once the universe creates the perpendicular origin and opposite origin, they join and combine and create a force cube. After that, as the universe has all that wisdom, after that universe can quickly create many other force cubes. So when this force cube involves in creations that take in energy inside the force cube, that energy flows into the force cube through these edges only, AB and CD. And if this force cube when it is attaching outside other force cubes, then those things happen through phases only. That depends on the polarity, because now this OT plane, opposite time plane, and time plane have polarity, opposite polarity, or the magnetism. Therefore, this opposite time plane always wants to come to this original time plane due to the energy deficiency. It tries, but it cannot come. This plane also, this time plane is the original energy state. This is an unstable state. It has energy deficiency due to that rotation. So this plane also tries to fall onto the original time plane, original mass plane. But what will happen if they collapse? If this opposite time plane collapses onto the time plane, and if this opposite time plane collapses onto the mass plane, then universe cannot continue any creation thereafter. If the universe creates something that is an everlasting creation, it exists forever. Universe doesn't create anything that will collapse halfway through. So then it creates a new methodology. If these two, this plane and this plane, they want to come to the original energy state, then universe won't let them join with the original state. Instead, the universe establishes another methodology, another theory for them to come to some stable state up to some extent. That is why the outside force cubes, these planes, this opposite time plane and opposite mass plane, can attach outside force cubes for them to recover the energy deficiency. So if this itself collapses, then there will not be any creations in the universe. The universe thinks all those things. There's no other person, no other way to handle this. So universe that itself is establishing according to the situation. Situationally, it establishes new theories, new wisdom. So that's also coming as a wisdom. In the universe, if something comes to stable state, then the universe doesn't let the original creation to be collapsed, to be vanished. Because this force cube, the universe created this force cube through some wisdom, through some theories, some methodology, through using some plans. So it doesn't want to destroy this creation, keeping this creation, and it's trying to give the stability to other planes as well. So it's establishing new theory. So it's thinking, the universe thinks about everything. So this is how we also figure out, this is how you also figure out the force cube. How did the universe think all these things? So then your brain tunes with the universal wisdom. So by the universal wisdom only all these things happened. And that's very important feature. Through this edge and this edge only, if anything enters into the force cube, energy enters, that will happen. Along these two edges, nothing can enter, nobody can break those two edges. These are weak edges. And after this, the universe creates a nucleus within the force cube, at the center of the force cube. It's creating in the middle with some characteristics.